Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard. I'm Lauren Feldman. This week I'm here with Lou Mosca to talk about the stories and issues we think business owners need to be following. Lou runs American Management Services, a consulting firm that helps small businesses all around the country. Thanks for being here, Lou.
My privilege, my friend. I'm always happy to be with you.
I miss our days on Sirius XM. We used to do this a lot more frequently. Unfortunately, we haven't talked as often as we used to. I'm curious. I'd love to catch up a little bit. I'm wondering what impact the last few crazy years have had on you and American Management Services. Has the pandemic changed the way you run the business in any ways?
I actually think that in some ways, while our revenue dipped, I think they were some of the best years we've ever had to cultivate management and people.
Wow.
Because it gave us the opportunity to spend time with people, because our history is to run as hard and as fast and as quick as we can. The pandemic sort of froze us in time a little bit. So it gave us a chance to work more with people one-on-one, to understand what matters to them, to see how to develop them a little bit better. And I think it's been very productive in that regard.
I love hearing stories like that. I mean, obviously the pandemic has been extremely difficult for all kinds of business in all kinds of ways, but I've also heard lots of stories along the lines of what you just said, of people who used it as an opportunity and kind of figured some things out. They were either because, as you suggested, they had time to do things they hadn't done before, or they were forced to make changes that it turns out they realized that maybe they should have made those changes all along.
Well, I think we got so used to saying COVID-19 and the pandemic, but reality is, it was a very difficult couple of years with COVID. We've been through recessions that have taken years. We've been through significant crises that have taken years to get out of. I mean, when the mortgage world fell apart and the housing world fell apart, 2009, 10, 11, that was 3 years of hell. And, to me, whether a business owner has a solid plan, Lauren, to deal with every issue, opportunity, and crisis, because opportunities and crisis sometimes go together. What's crisis for one could be an amazing opportunity for another. And it can happen in the same business, the crisis and opportunity in different departments, different ways of doing things. But I've just always believed if you've got a solid plan and you've got a great balance sheet, I'm, of course, terribly sad about the whole pandemic thing, but that's how you get through problems, is having a great plan and a great balance sheet.
Have you guys been affected by the labor shortage?
Actually, we were for a short period of time. I've noticed the last couple of months, American Management, our recruiting efforts, I'm not going to say have gotten easier. They're still very difficult because the world wants to be virtual and folks want to work from home, and we've had to change how we look at things. And when I say we, I mean this old guy here. But,
Lou, we used to joke a lot when we did that radio show about people wanting to, quote unquote, work from home. And You were not a big fan. I'm curious about that. Have you adapted to the new remote work world?
Nope. I haven't adapted to it. I don't like it, but I have to live with it.
Oh, so you have adapted to it.
Well, I personally haven't. I don't work from home ever.
Right.
So, but I understand that people really see it as a benefit. It's a way to reduce some of the stress folks have, saves them a few shekels on gas nowadays, which is certainly a bucket load of money. And we don't look to hire folks for virtual, Lauren, but if there is a place and a need and a reason to do so, we're open to doing it now.
So you're now willing to hire people around the country that previously you might not have? Is that what you're saying?
We've done that. I shy away from it a little bit still. I'm more willing to hire people that fit where I need them to be. And if they need some accommodations or they need some assistance to work virtually on a part-time or some sort of basis, I'm okay with that. We've actually hired people from around the country to work 100% virtual for us. And I hate to admit this, but we failed miserably at it.
Oh, interesting.
So, yep. So at the moment, that's not on my books.
So you've tried it, but it's kind of confirmed what you've always suspected.
Yeah, but I think it's our fault. I don't ever think it's candidates' fault. I think it's always our fault. So maybe we didn't try it as legitimately as we could have, or as sincerely as we could have. Maybe that's a reflection on me not liking it in general, and it was more talk than reality. But we tried it. It failed miserably. And I never, ever, ever blame a candidate, like I never, ever, ever blame a client. I'll blame an interviewer, but I won't blame a client.
Interesting. One theme I've heard a lot is people who claim to have had success with remote workers often say that the success comes with employees who have spent significant amounts of time working in the office and then went remote, as opposed to being hired and starting from day one working remotely. Do you think that might be a factor for you?
Well, we've done both of those too. We found some significant challenges in training and legitimately onboarding folks 100% virtually. And then on the flip side of that, we've had many people work for us that wanted to work from home. We definitely did better with those folks because they had more of the DNA that they know we need around here.
You talk to clients, you have people all over the country. All of a sudden, we're all reading stories about a looming recession. What are you picking up? What are you sensing in that area?
Well, it's kind of bizarre to me because it's just about never that a client will talk to us and use the R word. They just don't do it. They will talk to us about, I can't get those damn raw materials, or the bank's not being flexible, or the cost of my product has gone up, or, like you and I had a conversation long time ago about my favorite little Italian restaurant here in Orlando. And he told me about 2 months ago what it costs him to get chicken now versus what it cost him 6 to 9 months ago, if he can even get it now. But even none of them use the R word. My costs are going up. My labor costs are going up. My cost of fuel's gone up. My cost of raw materials has gone up when I can even get it. But I don't have clients use the R word. And you know why? Because independent business owners, they're just going to find a way to fight through it no matter what.
Well, I'm sure they're going to try, but if it turns into a recession like the one you were referring to before back in 2008, 2009, that does make a difference, doesn't it?
Well, of course it does. And it certainly depends on the size and the breadth of what you do. So I'll give you an example. Your good friend Gene Marks has all of his folks work virtually.
Yep.
If I remember correctly. So he doesn't have big overhead. He doesn't have big,
Interestingly,
obligations.
Though, Lou, I don't know if you know this, he's not a proponent of remote work. He did it a long time ago, but he's not a fan.
I read that. And then on the flip side, your other good buddy, he's got all the storefront and all the bricks and mortar.
You're talking about Jay Goltz?
Of course, Jay. So, to me, you make an investment. Think about Apple. They spent $5 billion building that complex out in California, and they can't get people to come. Right. So I think that we all deal with things differently. But if you're an independent business owner, whether it's recession, inflation, cost control, fuel, whatever that is, again, if you have the depth of a strong balance sheet and you have a plan and your people are all on the same page, you have a good opportunity. If you don't, you're in trouble.
Are you hearing anything from your clients? One of the things people are talking about a lot is the end of easy money. Are you sensing that there's a change in the relationship between your clients and banks? Is it getting harder to finance things?
That's amazing you would ask me that, because it is, it's almost alarming to me what we've seen lately. We've had probably a half a dozen clients in the last 6 months. At any point in time, half of our clients are in some degrees of distress. Money, sales, people, profit, banking, union, taxes, some degrees of distress. And about half are doing pretty darn good and want to lock it down and make sure they stay there. So, but the distressed ones now, we're seeing banks send 90-day out letters like I brush my teeth. It's just crazy. So we've got one right now up in the Northeast that does about $40 million a year. And they've got, I don't know, $5 or $6 million revolver with a bank. And the bank sent them a 90-day letter to get out. It wasn't 90 days to let's work it out. It was 90 days to get out. Get out of the bank, pay them off.
Wow.
And the company, in all
And
honesty,
was that
had not.
triggered by declining performance, or what was the excuse?
Sales had gone up, profits were anemic, absolutely anemic. But the only reason banks ever do that is when a client doesn't communicate properly with a bank. But, if your banker knows what's going on and what you're doing and why you're doing it, they'll ride with you when there's some bumps and bruises. But we're finding more and more that once the banks decided they want you out, so we got these folks rebanked with an additional $2 million within 4 months, and profitable.
Wow.
And profitable because they needed a solid plan and a direction. But I could give you numerous. I've got a guy right now just signed up with us yesterday that has more payday loans than I've ever imagined at 30%. 30%. Because on $4.5 million, he's a break-even company. So I find the banking world's getting tighter. And I was with a few bankers recently. We did a mayor's event up in New York, Westchester County, New York, and there were several bankers there. And they've been told straight up to look at deals differently, the ones they have and the ones that are coming in. And everybody's running to lock down their new money before rates go up even more.
What do you do for somebody who's fallen into the payday loan trap? How do you get out of that?
It's a heck of a fight. So first of all, we got to look at how they're pricing to begin with. So if your debt service on these payday loans is beyond whatever your gross profit or your net profit is, you can't get out of that. So we need to restructure the payday loans. They never want to do that. So it turns into a hell of a fight, even if that means we have to pull our clients' money out of the bank and put it in another bank so the payday folks can't grab it. And I know they go crazy over that stuff, but it makes them come to the table and talk to us.
When you were listing the challenges that clients come to you with or experience, you mentioned one that I don't think you and I have ever talked about before, and that is unions. And I'm curious, there has been a lot of talk lately that unions are gaining some momentum, making inroads that they haven't in many years. Is that what you're seeing?
No, that's not what I meant by that. I agree with your concept, what you're saying, the whole Starbucks coffee stuff and Amazon in New York City, right? I saw a lot of that. I don't look at it from that perspective. I don't think organization for the sake of organization is a bad thing. I think organization for the sake of not being productive is a bad thing. So I think all employees need to be held accountable, whether they're technically organized and unionized or not. Where we see the problem is, again, the union benefits and the cost to be a member of the union can go so high. If our clients' margins and profits not where it needs to be, it's another fight or another negotiation that has to happen. And it's always about profit and cash flow that gets you in that position. So everything revolves around the plan, the profit, and the cash flow.
You're not seeing a wave of unionization out there affecting small business. All right. For a long time, when I talk to business owners, the biggest concern they've expressed to me has been the labor shortage, but that's changed recently, and all I hear about now is inflation. Is that your sense, too, that that's the biggest concern for most businesses?
No. I will tell you, at least half of the people we meet with, whether they use our services or they don't, are looking for quality folks. Some were looking for anybody, and they would hope they would uptrain them.
So it's still about hiring.
Totally. But some would look for anybody, Lauren, to try to plug a hole and hopefully train them, and that just about never works. We have a philosophy here at American Management. If you didn't bring your A game, we're not going to find it for you. All right, we'll help you go from a B to a B plus, but if you didn't bring your A game, we're not going to make you an A player.
What does that mean? What are you suggesting when you say if you didn't bring your A game?
So if you've got 20 years of business experience, but your experience doesn't line up with what I need to be an amazing consultant, I'm not going to turn you into an amazing consultant. You might be a great accountant, but I'm not going to turn you into an amazing consultant. So we don't try to make, matchboxes out of Cracker Jacks. We don't try to do that. Now, I will tell you this, just in the last couple of days, I saw Facebook froze hiring. I saw Wayfair's laying off people. I saw Home Depot had a terrible quarter. Stock went down like a rock.
Target and Walmart are struggling.
Target got blasted. All right. So that's going to put people back on the street. I also think a lot of people that joined the Great Resignation are going to take a little pause now and rethink about what they've done. So I will tell you from our perspective, I've noticed in the last month that the quality of the candidate we are getting now has gone up.
Do you take boomerang employees?
On occasion. I historically have not. I historically have always gone under the impression if you left our pastures to go to another one, then that's it, one chance and out. However, my thinking of late has been, boy, I hate myself sometimes, Lauren. My thinking of late has been, if they left for an opportunity that I could not provide, I can't get upset with them. If they left strictly over money, or they left strictly over, I may be willing to let them work virtually 2 days a week and not 5, that's different to me. But if they left for an opportunity and they talk to us about it and I can't do anything to match or help or beat that opportunity and they want to entertain coming back at some point in time, I'm open to that. I used to not be.
Lou Mosca is COO of American Management Services. You can learn more about Lou and his company at amserv, AMSERV.com. Thank you, Lou.
Lauren, I love chatting with you. You've been a great friend for a long time.
Likewise.
And I wish you nothing but great success. You be well.
I appreciate that. You too. Always a pleasure. Have a great week, everyone.